Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a splendid day. And today I wanted to have a look at the USA and some old photos of Arizona, New Mexico in the 1880s. And what I found is quite interesting. I think you will agree when you see some of these photos. This is just a first one. I mean, to start, we can just see, all this rock work here, all these straight lines everywhere. Looks like brickwork, looks like meltage. And then what do we have in the back here but, what's becoming a very familiar sight is we have our little mound with our destroyed walls down the bottom, our different levels, and up the top, of course, we have a castle. Okay, so this is... Arizona, New Mexico, 1880s, USA. So let's get into it. So here we have, it's photos of the Pueblos in Arizona and New Mexico. 1889 was the publication date, so these photos are all from the 1880s. And here we go. So the story goes that these are what are called Pueblos, and these, we're told, were towns and structures that were built by Spanish immigrants that came in to California in the 1870s, 1880s, and they moved in to a completely barren place with nothing in it, a desert, and they decided to build these. Now this, you can see, look at the cracks down here. This is pretty old. Now, did they build this? I don't know. Look at this doorway going into the ground here. Okay, what this looks like is, it just looks like a very old building that's been, they've just found it's just completely demolished. Of course, we have some ladders here. Because everything is a movie set, which I will show you in this video. And this is the thing, this is completely brick, rock, mortar, cement dwellings. But what are these people, what can they make? Wooden ladders, wooden poles here. And look at this building in the background too. Alright, and these are the people, they're just sitting around. He's got his bow and arrow. He's got his log to sit on. He's got his little donkey. And this is what they had. So this is Pueblo, Shipor. They are poor. Fiat, Moki, Arizona. And here we have, is that an Iowa? A Moki town. And this is, I think this might be actually the same settlement. And again, windows down here. Look at this old stonework just falling apart, looking extremely ancient. Of course, ladders here, going up to the roof. Lots of pottery that they probably found. Who knows, but these people don't look like they could build this building. What's that? Is that a whip? And we've got, so this is at least a 2-story building here. And you see they've got ladders so they can get up here. And this building here is the best. I love it. Because you see, they've built, this is the story. They want us to believe that they've built this house. 3 stories, brick, rock, cement. Don't know where they got the cement from. Obviously there's rocks and stuff everywhere around here. But these ladders to get up to the 2nd story. See? Ladder to get up to the 2nd story. Ladders. Oh, but can you see this, guys? Stairs here, built in. So there's a ladder here. They need the ladder to get up to the top, to this floor. And then they've got stairs to go up. So they didn't think of putting stairs down here. They just put them up there. So this, a complete stage, just a stage set is what it is. Here's a photo of, we've got our family on the roof of their 3-story mansion in the middle of a desert in the 1800s. And of course in the background, got this sheer sort of wall that goes around here, and this. Again, now this is all, Arizona desert. Don't know exactly where it is. Walpi. Again, Mogi town. I'm not sure what that means, if that's what they were calling the Spanish, or if, who knows if they were Spanish or not, right? Yeah, look at this. Here's our castle on the top of the, what we're told is, a rock. You can see very old. All the roofs are gone, very just disheveled. This thing here, this looks like a massive vase. Like a big one of those, they look like, flower pots, plant pots, but they don't have holes, like the reflection pool things. Vast vase things you see everywhere. And down here, come on, look at this. So we've got the walls here, the remnants of, different rooms and things. Doorways into the cliff. Look at this, just this sheer bit jutting out, square angles everywhere, and the whole thing looking a bit melted, like it got hit by something. You can see these run lines down. We can see all these, striations going across, looking like something's collapsed, especially, like in there, in here. It looks like there might have been doors in there. Just, with what we've seen recently, look at this part. And look, it's just, this is just remnants of it all just down the hill. And of course, look, this is a blast zone. There's nothing here but a castle on what we're told is a rock, and lots of vanilla skies. And of course, look in the background here, guys. There and there. So this is, again, 1800s in Arizona, USA. So a little bit about the history of Arizona. The history of Arizona, as recorded by Europeans, began in 1539. And isn't that an interesting line? As recorded by Europeans. Began in 1539. So what went on before 1539 and who recorded it? The first documented exploration of the area by Marcos de Niza. His early work expanded the following year when Francisco Vasquez de Coronado entered the area as well. Arizona was part of the state of Sonora, Mexico from 1822, but the settled population was small. In 1848, under the terms of the Mexican Secession, the United States took possession of Arizona above the Gila River, and the Mexican-American War, which became part of the territory of New Mexico. The United States took possession of Arizona above the Gila River after the Mexican-American War, which became part of the territory of New Mexico by means of the Gadsden Purchase. The United States secured the northern part of the state of Sonora, what is now Arizona. So there you go. Basically, it was part of Mexico. What do we call them? The parasites who have come into America, wanted it. So they had a war, the Mexican-American War over it, and then they even made a treaty and paid them for it. So, all these wars, right? All these wars are very, very convenient way to kill natural populations. And also up here, just to point out, recorded 1539, and then it says, the next year Francisco came in, and then it goes to 1822. What? We just lost 300 years. How did that happen? So there's no story for anything happening as far as I know in those 300 years in Arizona. There was no gold rush in Arizona as far as I know. I think they had copper, a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, I'll show you, well, you've seen the castles already, but I shall show you more. And we'll see that this place was built out and it was found. It was not founded. You know, the founding fathers, maybe we should rename them to the finding fathers, right? Arizona was part of northern Mexico in the 1840s. It was remote and poor and seldom had outside contacts. The Mexican population based in Tucson was a few hundred, in addition to a presidio garrison of about 100 soldiers. The mission was deactivated in 1828. So it just there they say there's a couple of hundred people in Arizona. To the north, Arizona was nominally part of Alta California and a fragment of Santa Fe, New Mexico in the east. Together with the help of Pima and Papago, military garrisons providing a little protection from the hostile Apache population to the east of the San Pedro River and north of the Gila in the Mexican-American War. So again, there you go. They're up there, you know, hostile Apaches. They've gone in, they've stolen these people's land. These people are trying to defend themselves. And, of course, the story we're given is they're hostile. Hostile Apaches. And, of course, the Civil War came to town. During the Civil War, on March the 16th, 1861, citizens in southern New Mexico Territory around Mesilla and Tucson invited a takeover by the Confederacy. They especially wanted restoration of a mail service. These secessionists hoped that the Confederate territory of Arizona would take control, but March 1862, Union troops from California captured the Confederate territory of Arizona and returned it to the New Mexico territory. So again, you know, lots of fighting over these territories. What was really going on there? In the late 19th century, the army built a series of forts to guarantee the Indians would stay on their reservations. Naughty Indians. Do what you are told. The first was Fort Defiance, set up in 1851 to awe the Navajos. What? To awe them? Oh, God. I guess it was an awesome fort, right? Small skirmishes were common. In April 1860, 1,000 Navajo warriors under Manuelito attacked the fort and were beaten off. Well, that's a bit rude. The fort was temporarily abandoned during the Civil War, but was reoccupied in 1864 by Colonel Kit Carson. So they built a fort, and when there's a war, they abandon it. This is just stupid. I seriously feel like I'm getting dumb by just reading this stuff. In 1885, Lewis Williams opened a copper smelter in Bisbee, and the copper boom began as the nation turned to copper wires for electricity. The arrivals of railroads in the 1880s made mining even more profitable, and national corporations bought control of the mines and invested in new equipment. Mining operations flourished in numerous boomtowns such as Bisbee, Douglas, Arjo, and Miami. So there you go. So they eventually got some industry in the 1880s out there, and I guess a few people moved in. A couple of pics. Let's just have a quick look here. So here we go. We've got, you know, nothing much going on here. Bit of dirt road, very nice looking carriage, and yeah, this, you know, big multi-storied huge building. This is early 1900s, so we're talking 20 years or less after, you know, people started arriving there for the copper and started, you know, having the wealth to do this. You know, not talking about industry or who produced, you know, the glass, the metal, the bricks, the mortar, the cement, you know, all the light fittings, everything, plaster, you know, no explanation of that at all whatsoever. But they still built it, because build it and they will come. Here's another one. And what I like about this is these people were so ingenious that they actually built these buildings as mud flooders. It's not the biggest, but see this? So ingenious, they actually built this as a mud flooder, because you can see down here we've got windows going into the ground, and we've got this level, and just goes off down there. All these people standing around for their photo op, yeah, wanting us to know how good they are for building this building half under the ground. So that is the Connor Hotel in 1899, and then this they say by the, 1915, they're telling us, huge railway tracks on these, just hanging out on big bridges, industry everywhere. Not the best photo. Sorry. So that's the story of Arizona. So let's have a bit more of a look of what was actually there in 1880, or the 1880s. So here we are now. Now we're on the top, that melted building, shall we call it, in the castle, I believe. And this is called just a town. Got, I don't know, someone's been collecting rocks. Got some someone's cobbled together some kind of thing here. Again, see, wooden ladders going up to the second stories, because they forgot how to build steps after they built them on the second story. And yeah, look at this, just blasted, like this, just been flattened up here. You can see this has just been destroyed. There we go. So look, this wall's all broken off. Again, just ladders everywhere. Oh my gosh. UAP would have a field day looking at this photo. Look at this dude. Here's some people. He looks like he's playing the bagpipes, but I don't think he is. Big hooks coming out the wall. Look at that. This dude's balancing something on his head, I think. And there's someone in there hiding. But, I mean, you can see this has been completely facaded. And it's just all fallen off. Not the usual construction that we see, but, maybe there's a lot of rock around here. Rock around the clock, so who knows. But, I mean, definitely these people, they don't look like they could build much more than the wooden ladders we see hanging out. But look at this landscape. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Why would you move in? It's like they tell us about the Nile and, Mesopotamia. The origins of civilization were in deserts, because, that's where you'd start one, right? Where it was the hardest place to live. Quite ridiculous. Okay, here's another picture of the town. And we have our castle in the background, of course. You can see the walls a bit better here. I mean, just look at them. They're almost cracked equidistant, aren't they? Look at this. So what has gone on to do that? And these didn't quite get hit so hard. Or were these, this is the thing, were these built maybe, 500 years ago from the remnants of this explosion, from the people that were still here? And is this older, this melted bit? This is, these are the questions, aren't they? Because how do we get something like this that isn't melted, and this looks like it's been completely just destroyed? Was it flattened off here and they've come along after and built this on the top and built this here, because this is all just rock and there's rock everywhere. So is that what's happened? So, I'm saying like built 500 years ago by the people that were in the Americas, not by these people here that have turned up and just, hang out in the corner because they don't know how to build anything. And, they're probably just wondering where are they going to grow food? They got a few donkeys. Here's some steps. Alright, someone remembered how to build some steps. But we still need ladders. Look at all the ladders. That's great. And a bit more of the ladder festival. Let us have a count, shall we? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that an extra one? Don't know. We'll count that as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ladders just there. But here we go. There's some steps I remembered to build. They just forgot to build them from the ground up to the first story. And this poor dude here has to take the ladder down. And he's wondering why he didn't build steps down here as well. Because they built these guys. And when they built them, they just left big holes everywhere, broken walls, half-finished bits and pieces. Because that's what you do. Just half stairways. What? So just ridiculous. And you can clearly see what they've brought in, all the wood, whatever this stuff is. Stacking up sticks, raking around some rocks. And, I don't know, you reckon they found this? I'd say they found these bowls. Looks like they've been, this is probably just all the stuff they've found. Collected and put it there. Now look at the edge of this photo. This is a photo. What is going on there? Look at that. What? This is supposed to be a photo. But what is that? Looks drawn. Looks very strange. What's going on there? Photo manipulation. And here we have one of the builders. And this guy is so good he can't even get two shoes the same colour. Looks like he's got one sock. Bit of stuff just hanging around. Old bowls, old bits of wall. And of course, they're ladders. Ladders everywhere. These people have made it to the top. They're pretty happy. Doing a bit of a dance. And this is all their firewood they've collected. Because that's pretty much all they can do is just build fires in here. They got nothing else. Look at this wall. Look at that. Still got the rubble at the bottom. But we're supposed to believe that they built this place. Ridiculousness. This is Zuni, New Mexico, and the exact same story. And of course they love to cover this stuff in mud and try and tell us they're adobe and mud huts and that, but clearly they're not. This one just buried. Wall here. And then, again, pictures like this are just great. Because we have these half-built stone and brick buildings everywhere, but this is what they can do as a fence. This is their effort as a fence. And this is to keep their stock in, no doubt. So it's they don't want to lose their livestock. So this is their best effort at building a fence. Just bits of stick. But we're supposed to believe that they built all of this. And again, it looks like they're just finding stuff everywhere, doesn't it? Oh, there's a wagon. You can see they've got pots and things all lined up along here. Looks like they're just going around digging out, doing a bit of 1880s archaeology. Got a bit more of the fence down here, so they're doing well as fence builders. What a story. What a web we weave when first we practice to deceive. I've got more ladder fest down here. Someone has tried to put a pole in and they haven't really done that well. It's kind of fallen over a little bit. Oh, here we go. One stick lying on two other sticks. So I wonder, that's pretty good construction there. I wonder how long it took them to build that, and I wonder what it's for. Is that Antiquitech, do you think? Because that's what they can build. They can shove two sticks in the ground and balance one on the top. And they can build a wooden ladder. And then they can just, throw up two-story buildings. With kilns here. Looks like an oven. But they can't build steps. They keep forgetting how to build the steps. I think what they're doing is they're leaving the plans of how to build steps on the first story. So then they always have to climb up. And then they find the plans. And it's like, So then they can build steps up. But not from the ground up, of course. I'm hoping these are chimneys. And I really don't know what this is. Look at this stuff. Is this food? Okay, it looks like cucumbers or something, doesn't it? Oh, corn. Okay, it's corn. Corn. So they're growing their corn out in the middle of the desert. And this one looks like they've actually cleaned it up a bit. They've got some of the dirt. They've swept up. And they've covered everything in mud. They still didn't build stairs, so. Got their little oven on the roof. Ovens on the roof. I think this is probably a retrofit. This donkey wants to, he's going, why don't you build stairs? I can't climb the ladder. Here's that, fantastic piece of architecture. It's been repeated here. And this time you'll see they've used one stick and two sticks at this end. So we've got two balancing sticks, one stick and one log. So these guys, they're progressing pretty quick. Oh, and they've already scooped it out and it's actually got water for the animals. So, now I'm thinking they probably could have built this whole town. Here we've got stage coaches. This is, what they would have had to bring materials in. Of course, they had the rock, but this is how they brought all their cement and mortar and all that kind of stuff in, obviously. And just nothing. Nothing but vanilla skies in the in the background. Yeah, how's that for a telling picture? So again, guys, this is Arizona, 1880s. USA, they told us, you know, there was no one there in the 1860s or 70s. Copper was found in the 1880s, and that's when people moved in. The story of these Pueblos are they were just sending little groups of Spanish people out to try and populate the area, and these Spanish people would just rock up and, you know, much like the people of Salt Lake City, so maybe they were Mormons as well. There might be something to the Mormon religion, because they just tend to move into these desolate places and just, they can build whatever they want. Don't need the materials. Just whack it up. And of course this just looks like it's been sitting here for, you know, 500 years, just slowly sort of falling apart. Look at this, the whole corner's gone off this building. But again, you know, that looking built, and down here all this sort of melted stuff, you know, looking at like it's, yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure this would have been built on top, but like I said, this looks old as well, so this would be, you know, at least a couple of hundred years, well, you would think, a couple of hundred years old, by the 1880s, so I guess, you know, it could have been 1600s, after a big event, but clearly we're talking about multiple events here. Again, as you can see, they've made it all nice and clean, but yeah, they still haven't figured out how to build stairs. They can build these ovens pretty well though, because those things are everywhere. Pueblo de Taos, Southtown, New Mexico. Here's some more of those. What are they? Because they actually look like they're in the ground. Like, I thought that they were probably, you know, like pizza ovens, like cookers, ovens, but don't know, they seem to be everywhere. That's looking fairly low in the ground. Got a nice old wall here. I mean, why would these people build this wall? What's that going to do for anything? And I mean, what if they built it and it's just fallen apart like this? See, it's just all fallen apart very quickly. Are these rocks? Look at that. What? Okay. It looks spherical. That looks like, with that hole in it, you find, what were they called? The Dropa? Was it Dropa stones? Can't remember, but there's definitely a few different artifacts and parts that look like this. Some are very small. They're found in a cave. They found thousands of them. There's others that are found in just on the ground that were supposed to have fallen from the sky. Of course, it looks like the Death Star. But are these all like bits of molten metal from an explosion? Maybe. Conspiracies R Us was talking about it. When you get, well, with welding, when, you know, arc welding, when you've got a electric arc, it can throw off these little balls. So who knows? I don't know what that is. Again, just look at this. This is what they can build. And this isn't even milled wood. This is literally a tree they've snapped off. You can see it's still got branches coming out of it. You know, they're not even milling this wood. They're just snapping it and, yeah, shoving them in the ground and balancing wood, and that's the best they can do, but they want to tell us that they built this. I mean, come on. Again, now it looks like someone's put a lot of work into building a bridge here. So a nice bridge to get across this little ditch. Very good. Someone's built a house, but then decided they didn't really like it, so they smashed it down. And it looks like they might have even burnt it. Destroyed it anyway. Here's another, you know, great piece of architecture. Two standing sticks that look similar. And, you know, if you're smart enough, you can lay another stick across here, or maybe even a water trough. So these people were pretty advanced, as you can see. Oh, wow. Glass window. Look, what's going on there? Looks like it's been built over half the window. Oh my gosh. Here's more of those things. What are they? But clearly, I mean, here, like, see this, they've built their little roof. They've actually cobbled a roof together just on, yeah, unmilled trees, wood, and that's it, and their wooden ladder. And that's the best they can do. That's it, guys. They can't build this stuff. There's another one. Okay, so this, yeah, they're definitely kilns of some kind, or well, actually, I'd say ovens, because I don't think these dudes are, you know, maybe they are making pottery, who knows. They're definitely not making these bricks now. Look at that. Do they look like bricks? What do you reckon? Definitely doesn't look like rough, you know, found stone, does it? You can see all the levels down here. Yeah, see? More. Kids hanging out for a photo op. And these, I don't know, are these, I mean, I'm guessing they're going to be some kind of chimney, or that's at least what they're going to tell us, or ventilation. Don't know. More wood. Oh, and here's another building. Someone's just built this second story and then just smashed it down because it was a bad second story. Look at that. That looks like years and years and years of water runoff, doesn't it? Has water sort of been running off this bit and worn that out? I mean, just very old world. Another. And look, they're on roofs, they're on the ground. What are they? And here we are at Pueblo de Sandia, New Mexico. And again, I mean, and these are what you see in all those old cowboy movies, aren't they? You know, the old towns, in the Pueblos in New Mexico, and they ride in, and they all look like this. They do, you know, with the logs hanging out the walls and stuff. But they're just all in the middle of the desert. But who built all this stuff? You know, and then that's just building up their story with all these Western movies they love to show us. And here we go. We have some inhabitants. Someone with a cool hat. I don't know if that's a kid or not. This guy, he's got his stick. He must be a builder or an architect. He's just hanging out, and then the kids here. Maybe they're in jail. But even this cart, look at this cart. It's just bits of wood. You know, cobbled together. So they've turned up here and they've gone, oh my god, there's nothing here, and it took us 4 weeks to get here. No people, everyone's gone home. There you go, another one of these ovens. They're probably, I don't know, lots of wood there, probably an oven. Doors, look at that, cooling systems, grates. Because grates are pretty good. In fact, they're great. But look at these, everywhere. And of course, yes, the Great Wall of Arizona. And another built out town, all, you know, brick and rock. Look at this building here. Looks like it's lost its roof, so does this. So, I mean, look at these. So that looks like, you know, that's an old church. Just an old church. No roof, been, you know, refacaded. Probably built in, like some of the windows. And even this, even though they're small, these, you know, these are old buildings, I would say. They look very flooded, don't they? Because here we can see again, you know, the handiwork of the, you know, the people who have arrived, the new arrivals. And we have a nice little flat top up here. Is that a tree stump? Another shot just to show you the great farming opportunities out here and why you would move here. And of course, can you see this? Train tracks. Look at that. train tracks right across. 1880s, out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. Now, when we read, it did say that they brought the trains in the 1880s. So right out here in the middle of the desert, they run the trains out here. It doesn't seem to be a copper mine around, but that is the story they're going with. And this is another book of photos. This is Surveys West of the 100th Meridian, 1873. So this is earlier, and this is basically down the middle of the United States. North America, the 100th parallel is pretty much there, straight through the middle. So let's just have a quick look at some of these. And here we have what we're told is a native now, balancing, I don't know, does that look like an Indian or more African? Who knows? Of course, standing at the front of these Pueblo sort of type buildings. Expedition 1878. Doesn't really say much. Some engineer. Some more of the natives hanging out, looking a bit disheveled, looking like they've had their land stolen from them. And this, yeah, I don't know, walled fields by the looks of it. Look at this. All old. And see this, they've just smashed their way through there. Look at that. It doesn't even go to the ground. So this is, yeah, probably the remnants of some kind of building that's lost its roof and been buried, and they've just turned into, fields for their crops. I don't know who they're trying to keep out. It doesn't look like there's much around here. And not looking like the happiest, you know, still kind of proud people, but look at this dude, he's looking pretty pissed. He's not happy at all. You know, and when you see what these people were like probably 100 years before this, you know, they've really just been trashed down. And, you know, these are the inhabitants, 1870s, 100th parallel, so it's, you know, central down the middle. And I don't know, is that what you thought Indians looked like? They are really pushing these photo ops. At least they haven't got a free bag though. Hey kitties, he's waving. And here we have an elder. He's got his bits. And I always find it interesting, it's a funny thought, isn't it, that 1873, this guy has probably been dead for 140 years or more, 150. Bit morbid, but it's interesting that you can see people that are no longer here. And again, you know, what do you reckon? Is that what Indians were, you know, is that we were told they look like? Because he's looking fairly dark skinned. Yeah, you know, the story we've been told is it's just a facade. That's what it is. It's all a facade. They love to add their faces, you know, like facade book, right? Everyone loves facade book. They go on the old book of faces and pretend to be something different than what they really are. Maybe we should start calling it what it really is. Look at this mud flood. There's like different levels everywhere. Massive 2-story. We've got bells here. Clearly, look at this. Look, these are two old, big, square towers. Look. Even got the bits left on top. And they've just been worn down. How old is this stuff? That's like a big old cathedral. And it looks like it looks like they're wood there, so they've built this little veranda bit. And just more ladders. You know, holes going in at ground level. But yeah, that's an old, look at that, that's an old church. It looks like it's made of brick. You know, so the question is, all these photos, 1880s, 1870s, and we can see these buildings are already old. But the story is this place didn't have a population until the 1880s. So who built them? You know, I mean, to me, this is just proof that America was completely built out, and it was found. The Finding Fathers, man painting a rock. And looks like we're down near the Grand Canyon now, and of course we've all seen these before, buildings built in to the Grand Canyon up on the rocks. But look at this, just completely smashed down the bottom here in the 1870s, destroyed. What destroyed it? I mean, this is just a big flow of bricks. And this I just found interesting, in the Grand Canyon probably still, but look at this sort of, you know, sheer sort of right angled wall along there. And I mean, that just looks a big melted glob of something, doesn't it? Tower, anybody? What do you think? Natural? Man-made? What do you reckon? Look what's behind it. And here again is the narrative. They want us all to believe that when they got there, the peoples there, like, this was the extent of their tech. You know, a few twigs tied to trees while they do some weaving. They got their sweet potato up here drying, again just on trees. And this is what they want us to believe. But we've seen the buildings, guys. This is it's a facade, it's an act, it's a story, it's a show. And again, look at these people. They look much more like what we're told are African Americans rather than what we're told are Indians. Indians tend to be a lot lighter skinned. Which, I mean, again, begs the question, I guess. You know, the Indians that we're told are Indians today, you know, they lighter skinned because, you know, interbreeding. And again, more of the narrative. We really don't know what to do, so we just sit around on rocks. But, you know, the photographer was nice enough to put a rug down here on the ground. And just so you know, it's not a photo op. Here is the other kids in the exact same spot. Yeah, not set up at all, guys. Not set up at all. Not at all. Again, we have no tech for you, because you all stole it from us, didn't you? Has this guy got something across his mouth, or is that just paint? Oh yeah, look at this, just a humpy. Bits of trees with some, you know, twigs thrown over it, and a nice photo op. They would have got out here and built this, and then got everyone to sit round, and yeah, for their photo op. And again, some pretty dark-skinned people sitting there. And here we go. Dance around the man in the hat. Dance, people. When these people are watching them, you better dance. We got a photo. We have a photographer here, and he's costing us 7 shillings an hour. Do they have shillings in the USA? I do not know. And of course, this photo op is to show us that these people were the builders of this. Because you see, when you take a photo of people in front of a building, it means they built it. You know, much like when architects find old fires next to old ruins and they date the burnt wood and they say, yes, that's how old the building is. And here we have some people. Is that? Oh, I thought he'd caught something, but it looks like a log. So basically, they probably can't even use that. Doesn't look like a proper bow, really. Yeah, so here we go, boys. Stand around, pretend you're hunters. You get the loincloth. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. It's such a setup shot. It's just, you know, the whole, 200 years, last 200-300 years, I mean, going back a lot more than that probably. It's seriously, guys, it's just a stage show. And here are some, is just another book here, Western Territory of the United States. And this one, 1873 as well. And as we see, we have this, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-story building. Look at these, how the stories are getting smaller as they go up, shorter. And then we have, apparently, the builders, the priest built this, didn't find it, built it. Looks like they've done some repairs here with a bit of wood. And then on top we've got bricks and the old facade. Has that got a light on? Yeah, big building out in the middle of the desert. Big church found and claimed. A big rock. And here we go again, middle of the desert, just completely built out. And like I said, they love to cover everything in this mud. You know, the mud veneer. Just to give it that look, that it's all just, you know, built by the same people. Nothing to see here. Except two-story buildings, and clearly these guys don't know how to build with masonry. So there you go, yeah, just a bit of a walk through the desert areas of Western USA, just to show that these places were built out. You know, there was castles up that have been melted up on hills. Clearly people that are, you know, they're new arrivals living there. They can't build anything out of bricks or rock. All they can build with is wood and ladders. And this is a map. This shows Florida. Back in, now I believe this one is earlier, this is sort of 1600s, I believe. And as you can see, there's towns everywhere. We've got Shane, we've got, what's that, Neoma. And it was still called Florida. Florida's been called Florida for a very long time. Same with California and the North, all North America was called Atlantis. Yeah, just cities here everywhere. You can see all man-made canals, cities on them, all mapped out. And again, this one is back, whoops, 1611, this one. Oh, actually it says, yeah, sorry, publication date 1611, this one. So 1611, this was completely, you know, built out. Look at it, there's big towns everywhere. This one is Norembiega. Now this is up north. This is near Chicago. I believe Chicago's kind of in this area at the moment. Down here we've got Virginia. And again, you know, we've got towns up here. You've got names everywhere. All mapped. All up here. Now this is the capital, Norembiega. Look at that. Huge city with a canal, you know, on the top of the canal. Cities and towns all along here. You can see there's even Kamuki. And there's another one down here. And of course, this is in the year J597. Virginia. Norembiega at Virginia, J597. So, you know, this place was going off, basically. And there's, I mean, there was just, it was all mapped out. And there was towns everywhere, guys. You know, like all this, it's just all completely mapped. So the story they're telling us that you know, there was nothing there. It's just silly. Here we go, Nova Scotia in Canada, completely mapped. We've got towns, you know, all along the edge here. We've got towns. What's that? Chicago? Is that Chicago maybe? Or is that? No, it's probably a bit high. Shalaga. See, and another thing I do is when I find these old maps, if you can find the names of towns, yeah, I put them into like this, into Gallica search engine, and sometimes you'll find old books because clear, you know, obviously they've changed the names of all these towns. All the names have been changed to protect the guilty. So if we can find what they used to be called, like this, Nova Francia, obviously that's New France, yeah. But yeah, these places, it can lead you to old maps, old books, things that you wouldn't normally find, because like I said, they change all the names. But yeah, look at these, just, you know, castle cities here, all completely built out in Canada, 1600s. So there you go, guys. Thanks for having a bit of a walk through the facade of the Western United States, and the silly stories they tell us about, you know, that there was nothing there, and it was found empty, and they just went in and built everything. Clearly, this is not true. There was a lot more going on, and 1,000 years, of course, you know, 1,000 years has been added to our timeline. That's what this J is. If you're not sure, J for Jesus or I for Iusa. Sometimes you'll see an X as well. And it basically just means in the year of our Lord. 597. So this date is actually the year 597. The Jesuits came along in the sort of 1600s. Joseph Scaliger chronology, and they changed all the J's and I's into ones, which then added 1,000 years, making this not the year 597, but the year 1597. So this is again how they've been able to play with our past. They've added 1,000 years in, which means they can then add in all this big story, this big made up story of his, the big his story, to try and explain how we got here and how they own everything and how they built everything, and it wasn't us. That's what they've, that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, no, this was all us. These are, poor little me is what these parasites are. They're poor little me. They find stuff and they just want it. They don't want to do any work. They don't want to, actually deserve anything. They just want to steal and lie and manipulate. And they have done this for hundreds of years, if not longer. But as we're seeing at the moment, this is not working. Something's going very bad for them. The frequency's changing, which means what's happening is we can see them now. We can see through their stuff. A couple of years ago, the frequency was different, and, their sort of aura, their facade, their persona that they put on, all these pop stars and movie stars with their nice makeup and their plastic surgery and their hairdressers and their $2,000 suits and dresses. It's all a facade. It's all a dress-up game. It's all to trick us so that we see them and think they look good, but we don't see, the evil that's underneath, because that's really what is underneath. And that's what's being exposed at the moment. 2020, perfect vision, age of Aquarius. So another thing, guys, there's a lot going on at the moment, so please do not buy into the fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So unless there's someone in front of you with a needle trying to shove it in your arm, being scared of the jab is wasted energy. That's just living in fear. Like I said, until you get to a point where you can fight or flight, where you can fight the dude with the needle or run away, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to make yourself unhappy, you're going to stress yourself out, and you're going to be building a vision of the future that's not good. Okay, and at this point, we are the creators. We need to be focusing on what we want for our future, because we can get back to these star cities, guys. It's all still there. We can do this. We can turn, and who's to say that they aren't even still on, and that we've just had our perception changed so much by this stage show that we just can't see it. This is the thing. The veil is lifting for those with eyes to see. So thank you for spending some time with me, guys. Have a splendid day, and I'll catch you all on the next upload. Bye for now.